show opened up with MJF defeating Will Ospreay to become the new international champion. And look, there is no two ways about it. Even though on Cage Match right now, as I'm recording this on a Wednesday evening, the match here is rated at 6.24, which is bonkers. Nuts. This was a great match. I'll tell you right now, 4.5 stars from your boy Warren. I thought this was a great match, and I was ready to go higher. How high? You'll never know. You'll never know. And I think that the finish poisoned the well for a lot of people. And I think this is where ultimately this match becomes extremely divisive amongst fans, because I'm in group chats, I'm in the Discord, I'm in my Discord, MrWarrenHayes Show channel Discord thing. Link is in the description. I'm on other Discords, like I'm lurking and I'm observing and I'm looking at reactions. This match divided people. I think the hardcore freakazoids saw nothing but greatness here. They are ready to just like accept this with open arms, you know, and invite this match to Thanksgiving for the next 15 years. You know, completely disregarding what happened within it, and because all they see is the greatness. And on the other hand, I've got people who were shook by the finish and who've lost complete sight that we saw two men in peak physical condition to be doing the shit that they were doing for 55 minutes. And you cannot deny that the work here was phenomenal, outstanding, and was on the verge of a classic. This is an all-time match, don't get me wrong. This is one, when people are recapping the greatest matches in Dynamite, this is going to be on lists. This is going to be on top 10 lists. I saw people comparing this to Hangman Danielson. I'm okay with that. But people outright trashing this, tossing it overboard, I'm not down with that. I think I think there are other forces at play here. If you're so easily ready to discount this match and throw it overboard, I think there's other things at play. I think if you're completely discounting this match, I think that you're expecting a certain style of pro wrestling that just does not exist in North America. Maybe you are better served on the Japanese side of things. Maybe you are expecting a Dragon Gate style match, which was, of course, never going to happen, especially when you consider that MJF is one of the participants. This is not a knock. MJF is a North American pro wrestler born and bred. You can't expect them to start going full on Puro style. Let's get real here. And speaking of MJF, I think he's another reason why this is poison. The well has been poisoned for a lot of people here, because there are many folk who cannot stand MJF, and not just, oh, you're being worked. No, who just really don't like him. And who think he's a detriment to this company. When I think it is the complete opposite. Since his return anyway. I think he has shown last year, over the course of 2023, that he can absolutely be a detriment to the company and to shows that he's on. He can. I don't, how can anyone with an absolute straight face look at this match and say, nah, it stunk, MJF, MJF is terrible. I can't see it. I think that's a you problem. And as long as you accept that it might not, that MJF matches might not be for you, that's fine. But I really do think that there is a natural dislike among certain pundits in, you know, hanging around the wrestling media who have a natural dislike for MJF's work. Are there things that I tweak in his work, so on and so forth? Sure. Yes. Minute criticisms, but they are so minute, especially in the context of this match here. Let's talk about the match. How about that? We'll talk about the match and its crazy pace. Look, I think everyone, or at least most folks, looking at the card that Tony Khan announced, we were all expecting this match to go long. I think we were all expecting this match to, you know, cross over, you know, a quarter hour, a 30-minute, like a good old-fashioned 28-minute special for TV, right? Boy, how legit, seriously, how many folks thought that this was going to go almost a full hour? You? I don't think so. Not a lot of us did see that coming. So I can understand when I was seeing, again, folks, when the match was starting off, going, wow, this is kind of slow. It's a little boring. But I'm like, this can't be happening. You know, like I'm not going to sit here and make a note that the beginning is weird and kind of slow when I'm feeling it, that they're going to go long and that they're taking their time setting the pace. And boy, did they take their time, because they had nearly just about 60 minutes to go from bell to bell. And they did. And throughout this period, they're setting up stories that MJF is just banging up Will Ospreay. He's just making sure that his legs are screwed, that his arm is screwed, his shoulder's screwed. They're making sure that this story gets across. Of course, that MJF is a heel and he's healing it up. I cannot tell you how much I missed full-on heel MJF. And again, here's the thing. I know he's not everyone's cup of tea, but it works for me. It works. And I think there's a lot of what he does is classic old school pro wrestling in his mannerisms and what he does. And yet a lot of the intelligentsia who usually, you know, are climbing up the walls when people are calling out, when wrestlers do old school things, when MJF's entire act is an updated old school heel act, then they get upset. I like, if I'm MJF, I sort of get it. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? What is wrong with you people? Isn't this what you want? Here, I'm giving it to you. Sometimes I feel like I'm on an island when talking about MJF and how great he is, because I feel like everyone else has so many issues with him. I'm like, am I the problem? No, I don't think I'm the problem. I am not the problem. I see what he's doing and I enjoy it. I like it. Again, I'm not expecting MJF to wrestle like, you know, like he's out of Dragon Gate, or to treat every one of his matches like he's out of Dragon Gate or AJPW. I'm not expecting that. I feel like he's the perfect encapsulation of a top North American pro wrestler. A guy who has charisma, can talk, is entertaining, plus is a great worker, as he's shown tonight. And yet somehow he cannot incur the favor of so many people who will nitpick and pick apart. Oh, why did he do that face here? Who cares? Who cares? He did a face, and as he's doing the face, he's getting a... Will Ospreay is diving from behind him, and he's about to eat a hidden blade, a diving hidden blade. And the shot from TV is perfect. What is it gonna take? What's it gonna take? I don't get it. I thought his heel work was great. Yes, it's a little hammy, but that's what he is. And I'll tell you one thing, I much prefer MJF, healing it up towards the crowd, being hammy to get people to hate him, than the opposite, doing, brochacho stuff and kangaroo kicks. We'll get to the kangaroo kick in this match. But that makes me happy. That speaks to me. And then on the other side of this match, you have the greatest wrestler alive right now. You've got Will Ospreay, the greatest wrestler alive, one of the all-time greats. Some people even say perhaps the greatest to ever do it. We're on that level, and we're sitting here and we're bitching. We're bitching about a finish. I wasn't even at the finish yet. I was still trying to get through this match. I mean, MJF is doing all the heel things right, and he's avoiding stuff, and he's trying to get Will Ospreay into moves, and Will Ospreay's like, he's avoiding the heat seeker at first, and and does a slingshot cutter, and then does a Sasuke special, and then Will Ospreay does a second rope moonsault into a standing moonsault, and MJF dodges both, but then Will does a standing shooting star press, which connects in a nice tight little sequence. And I'm like, already. And in the meantime, I'm seeing people going, I don't know, man. I don't understand. I don't understand why people aren't up on their feet. You're looking at this going, this is tremendous stuff. He's doing the moonsault into the standing moonsault, just like a real Latino man does. But unlike a real Latino man, he follows it up with a standing shooting star press, which was tremendous. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this. I'm like, again, Will Ospreay makes me wonder why, despite the fact that he and I are both human, why is he so different than I am? Why is it? I don't understand. And then he follows it up with the sky twister. After he does the standing shooting star press, goes up top, does the sky twister. We got tables put into play, got reversals. MJF fakes tweaking his knee so that he can sucker Will Ospreay into a pile driver, and then MJF gets a control segment and a critical one with the figure four, which Ospreay is in for a long time. He reverses it for a bit, but it's not a significant. It's not significant enough. The hold is maintained, and Ospreay basically eats a lot of shit in this match. He eats a lot of issues, and his leg suffers, and this becomes apparent. He gets Irish whipped, and he can't follow through. They eventually fight into the crowd after MJF exploits the knee. They fight into the crowd, which was fun. There was Will Ospreay gets a little girl to beat up on MJF, high fives her, and she was like jumping around, just going like that was nice. That was fun. I think it was Taz saying, "Oh, we don't recommend people going after pro wrestlers. It's a little girl. It's fine, Taz. Look, I understand what he's saying, but they get back into the ring. There's a crossroads by Will Ospreay, reversing out of one that MJF was trying to do. Cradle DDT by MJF, and then we get a Styles Clash right on the apron, which was phenomenal, pun intended. And at this point, MJF has been working over Will's arm, so one of his arms isn't great. So when they get back in, Will does a one-armed last ride powerbomb. During the commercial, Doc Samson pops Will's shoulder back in. Sure. And then we get the spot that I was talking about where MJF is on the floor and he's gloating to the camera saying, "I'm the smartest wrestler alive." And the camera just picks up Will Ospreay diving through the ropes with a hidden blade. I'm like, this is awesome. It's just tremendous. Get an avalanche Styles Clash. We also had a phenomenal forearm earlier on. Full-on tributes to AJ Styles going on. I know Will Ospreay always peppers some in, but I felt like it was particularly underscored tonight. We get a heat seeker on the apron by MJF. Then he puts Will Ospreay on the table. They had been building to the table spot. One guy putting the other guy on the table and then the guy rolling off and then doing it again and rolling off. And then MJF goes up top and does a diving elbow drop from the top rope through the table on the floor. Phenomenal. Great spot. Great visual. Extraordinary. He does a powerbomb on the knee. MJF. And then he counters an avalanche poison rana by sort of just like landing on his feet and shrugging it off. Then almost immediately after does an avalanche hurricane rana to Will Ospreay, who just flips through the air and lands on his feet. And I'm like, all of this rules. And again, then I saw people go, "Oh, look at MJF's stupid face." Look at what just happened. There are things, look, I am the first to get annoyed when wrestlers are doing things and then they stop to mug, to do goofy faces, to do NXT face, to monologue. I get it. But most of the time these things happen when I point them out, when I'm annoyed by them, is because the match isn't necessarily coming together. The match is not special. I can put up with MJF going, "Oh, he just landed on his feet, didn't he?" face. When the rest of the match has just been phenomenal. It's such a minor detail that it doesn't bother me. Now, if the match had been slow and plotting and nonsense already, I'd be like, all right, this is all dumb. But it's not. It's not. It doesn't take away. It just gives us the moment. It gives us a moment to let the move sink in. And instead of taking in what just happened, Will Ospreay countering a top rope hurricane rana by spinning on himself and landing flat on his feet. Oh, look at this guy's stupid face. I don't know, man. Then we get some strikes. They're not done. And we are so far into the match at this point. And this is the shit that they're doing. And we're going to talk about MJF pulling stupid faces. How does this make sense? How is this how we talk about pro wrestling now? when there's incredible athleticism happening and just astounding moves happening 45, 50 minutes into a match that has already been physical. Why are we sitting around grumpy pants with our arms crossed over our chest asking ourselves, why is MJF doing stupid NXT faces? I don't understand. It does not register with me. Not when the action that is happening is so incredible and is a testament to the condition and the talent of these two men. Two men, what am I talking about? Two top guys, two of the best in the world, two world-class pro wrestlers. Will Ospreay avoids the top rope tombstone. The avalanche tombstone, which was used to paralyze Daniel Garcia. MJF eats a hidden blade to the face. And then, now here's the part. Here is the thing. Look, the finish is very controversial. A lot of people are upset about it. I'll tell you what made me upset here. I'll tell you what is keeping me from going 4 3/4 or even a 5 on this. It is the part where Will Ospreay wants to do the Tiger Driver 91 but doesn't hesitate. I don't care, but hesitates, excuse me. He does hesitate. I don't care that MJF used the Dynamite diamond ring to get the win. Couldn't care less. In fact, makes perfect sense. In fact, I was expecting it. I was like, this is going to end with MJF cheating. And that's what he should do. Big match, coming back as a heel against one of the top guys in the world. Of course, MJF is going to do it. I was primed for that. I was ready, and it happened. But the one thing that I find is a little less forgivable is this Tiger Driver 91 nonsense. Let's recap the Tiger Driver 91 nonsense, shall we? He does it on Kenny Omega last year, right? Was it at Forbidden Door? I don't remember which one I think it was at Forbidden Door that he did it, right? And then the safety police on Twitter lose their brains and they're like, oh, this is the most dangerous move ever. So they lean into it, and Will Ospreay sort of does it, teases doing it, and it's promoted as a dangerous move because the safety police don't understand how pro wrestling works. So then we get to the match with Danielson earlier this year, and Ospreay uses it, and the thing here is that he beats Danielson with it, but Danielson is quote-unquote injured, and Ospreay has a crisis of conscience in this tremendous 5-star match. There's this crisis of conscience at the end where he's like, should I do it? And then the angle afterwards is, I'm retiring the Tiger Driver 91. I don't want to do it. But throughout his feud with Swerve Strickland, leading into the most recent pay-per-view to Forbidden Door this year, the idea was, Will, you don't have the killer instinct. You won't be able to do the Tiger Driver 91 when the time is going to come because you don't have the killer instinct. Well, he didn't hesitate. And you can go back and watch the tape. Will did the Tiger Driver 91 on Swerve Strickland and was driving him down. And it's Swerve that wriggled out of him. As he's being driven down, Swerve is wriggling out of it. You can go check the tape. I'm not making this up. So I was looking at this saying, all right, so we're done with the Tiger Driver 91 thing, which we should have been done with regardless. Look, he was acting as if he ended Brian Danielson's career. I'll get his name right. Ospreay was acting like he ended Brian Danielson's career by using the Tiger Driver 91. When in fact, Danielson was back a couple of weeks later, and next thing you know, he's doing Anarchy in the Arena. Okay, like if I were Ospreay, I would have been like, so the move's not that bad. Yeah, I'd be like, okay. And that was rational and made sense to me when he pulled it out against Swerve, because on two fronts, because of Danielson coming back, but also because Swerve egged him on to do it, right? He was taunting him, you killer instinct and all this stuff. But then, I think it's on the following Dynamite, Don Callis is talking to him and he's like, oh, you know, or they're talking to each other, and it's brought up again when Don Callis and Will Ospreay are talking to each other, and it's brought up that Will hesitated on the Tiger Driver 91, but he didn't. He did not. So I'm sitting there, and I talked about it on this review. I said, why are they retconning this? We saw it happen. Will did it. It's Swerve got the hell out of Dodge at the last possible second. And it turned out to be a tremendous spot. But now we're still bringing that story. Now Will is still hesitating. So right then and there, there's no continuity. I kind of hate it. We're retconning things that have clearly happened. And now Will has a lot of qualities, but emoting an emotional conflict is not one of his strengths. So as he's got MJF locked up for the Tiger Driver 91, he's doing these faces, right? He's doing those as he's trying to muster the courage to do it. But he can't. For some reason, he can't. And the only reason that he's not doing it is for pure storyline reasons, and they're ignoring what happened at Forbidden Door, and that doesn't jive with me. And this is what I'm saying, like when I talked about at the start of the review, when I'm saying AEW has this duality, this personality conflict between its two sides, you know, like a mini wheats, where you have the wheat, you know, side, you know, the brand side, and then on the other side you have the sugary coating. They don't know how to coexist in the case of AEW. On a mini wheat, it's fine, but in the case of AEW, they don't know. They don't understand. They don't come together. They don't jive. They don't mesh. So I'm watching this and I'm like, why is he doing this? I said it out loud. This is stupid. So he can't do it. And then there's a ref bump. And then MJF uses the Dynamite diamond ring to knock out Will Ospreay. The ref comes too. Gets the win. I really wish that the hesitation on the Tiger Driver didn't work. Wasn't there, actually. Excuse me. Let me say that again. I really wish that Will Ospreay's hesitation on the Tiger Driver 91 at the end of this match wasn't there. I wish it wasn't there, because right now it is a goofy storyline that is getting into the way of great matches. Now it's getting in the way. Now it's keeping me from cheering on this match to the high heavens. I'm going to have to caveat this throughout. And yes, it did bother me enough to keep this away from a potential match of the year for me. I don't know. I don't know. What would have been the finish without it? I couldn't tell you. But this took me out of the match. Not MJF's goofy faces. Because this impacted the match. This had a direct implications on how the match was executed, and the flow. Everything in this final stretch, with a final stretch that lasted 10 minutes, was so good and hard hitting and smartly done and athletic. And then we do this. I'm like, oh, come on. Now, did it bother me to the point that I'm going to bury this match 6 feet under and call it shit? No. Because for 58 minutes previous to that, these two guys put on an extraordinary example of well done North American style pro wrestling. Spectacular, well put together. I loved this match, and I do think it's great. And I think it could have been greater had it not been for that. Again, I don't even mind that MJF wins with the Dynamite Diamond Ring. That's his thing. But interrupting the match, the flow for this crisis of conscience that honestly doesn't even really exist. That doesn't make sense that it should still exist in canon, in AEW. That they're just ignoring what's happened. We got to tell this story. This is the story. This is the story. Now, I'm not a dummy. I'm not a dummy. Contrary to popular opinion, what my dad thinks, I'm not a dummy. I know what they're doing with this. They're going to rematch MJF and Will Ospreay, and I still think it's happening at Wembley. I still think they're going to go again, and Will is going to pull out the Tiger Driver 91, and he's going to hit it on MJF, and he's going to win his title back, and everyone's going to explode. It's going to be a huge pop. Everyone's going to be like, he did it. It's tremendous. And I hope they do it soon, because it is an impediment to my enjoyment of Will Ospreay matches, something that I never thought I would ever say about a Will Ospreay match, not at least over the past 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. Never thought I'd say that Will Ospreay is doing things in his matches that are causing me to not like them enough or as much. A tremendous match. I'm still looking at this on Cage Match, and I'm refreshing ratings on Cage Match. 6.54 on Cage Match. I get it. This is going to be a divisive match, but people have to. I don't know how people rate these matches. I don't know how they go into it. I don't know how this goes. I just broke down 58 minutes of a terrific match that cannot be just discarded because MJF bad. You know what I mean? You can't do that. The visuals of MJF at the end with the oxygen mask is tremendous. It's just tremendous stuff. Both of these guys are tremendous. Can you imagine the condition these guys are in? I don't know what to tell you. Is this an unpopular opinion? I think I'm being super fair. Am I supposed to bury this match? I can't. I can't outright tell you this match stunk. It didn't. It is the opposite. But I really feel like MJF gets in the way. I really feel like it gets into the way. And MJF, look, I want you to think about this. MJF right now in this company, the guy who likes to tell us he's not a work rate guy. He does, he wants the night off or whatever, This is the guy who worked a 60-minute Danielson match. Now he just worked a near 60-minute Ospreay match and a 38-minute CM Punk match. Now you tell me. You can buy his shtick or you can look at what he's doing. People, I think, are way too harsh, extremely harsh on MJF. Way too hard.